The summer of 2016 proved to be an extraordinarily difficult period for the Rideout family. Marital infidelity, financial hardship, divorce proceedings, constant arguments and conflicts. None of the family members could have predicted the dramatic events that awaited them. In 1966, in the northern regions of New York State, near the city of Rochester, Craig Rideout was born. After graduating from college, he earned a degree in economics. Fate brought him together with a girl named Laura at a bar, and feelings arose instantly, at first sight. In 1993, they entered into marriage. Craig was 27 years old at the time, his bride turned 22. The young couple rented a spacious house in Rochester. Shortly after the wedding, they had their firstborn, a boy named Colin. Craig found work as a programmer at a financial services company. Laura devoted herself to managing the household and raising the children. Over time, their family grew by 2 more sons and 2 daughters. Craig made efforts to increase his income, but funds were constantly insufficient. The family had to relocate, exchanging their spacious home for significantly more modest accommodations. The financial crisis persisted. Craig found solace in computer games. While in everyday life he remained an ordinary programmer, virtual reality gave him a sense of personal significance. There he earned prestigious titles and celebrated triumphs. Colin, the eldest child of Craig and Laura, would later claim that his father displayed despotic character traits, was authoritarian and emotionally detached from the family. At the same time, Robin, Craig's biological sister, categorically rejected such characterizations. She portrayed her brother as a devoted family man who genuinely loved his children. According to her, he never committed violence against the children, never intimidated them, was always attentive and caring. During the summer months of 2014, Laura decided to end their relationship and initiated divorce proceedings. After gathering her personal belongings, she left the marital home. Her new place of residence became the house of Paul Tucci, Craig's closest friend. Paul had just lost his wife and was in widower status. Close relations began to develop between Paul and Laura. They maintained regular telephone contact, emotionally supported each other, which grew into mutual affection. Eventually, they began living together. Craig demonstrated outward composure and restraint in his reactions. His work colleagues noted that he was clearly suffering from the situation, but didn't give free rein to his emotions, trying to maintain a positive attitude despite life's troubles. The older boys from the Rideout family had reached adulthood and independently decided to live with their mother. Parental rights regarding the younger daughters remained with Craig. At that time, the girls were 12 and 6 years old. The divorce procedure dragged on for a considerable time. The relationship between Craig and Laura was characterized by high levels of tension. The woman occasionally appeared at the home of her still formally legal husband to see her daughters, but the visits were brief. 2 years passed, and in 2016, Laura, together with her eldest son Colin, launched a campaign to turn the other children against Craig. The woman sought to obtain parental rights to her daughters. Mother and son developed a plan. The daughters were supposed to provoke Craig into losing self-control. They hoped he would snap, demonstrate aggressive behavior, the neighbors would hear the commotion and notify law enforcement. Colin forwarded a text message to his sisters with step-by-step instructions, but their strategy failed miserably. Craig maintained his composure, didn't raise his voice, and behaved as restrainedly as always. By mid-2016, Laura and Paul made the decision to relocate from New York State to North Carolina, planning to take all the children with them. Craig immediately expressed categorical disagreement and stated that the daughters would remain under his care. Shortly after this, a mysterious event occurred. Late in the evening, while Craig was sleeping in his bedroom, an unknown person in a mask and hood suddenly burst in. The attacker ripped out a handful of hair from his head, seized his keys and mobile phone, then fled. Craig immediately contacted the police, described the incident, and suggested that this masked attacker might have been his eldest son Colin. Law enforcement arrived at Craig's residence, conducted an inspection of the premises, but failed to apprehend the perpetrator. On the evening of July 16, 2016, a telephone conversation took place between Robin and Craig. The subject of their discussion was a post by Alex, their third son by age, which he had published on his social media page. The publication contained a copy of an email that Colin had sent to his father Craig a week earlier. In this letter, Colin persistently expressed his desire for his younger sisters to be reunited with their mother. The text contained offensive statements directed at his father. Colin called him a dishonest person and accused him of manipulating the divorce process and judicial system to control Laura's life and deprive her of peace of mind. Craig and Robin perceived this publication as absolutely horrifying. Craig informed his sister, "I will certainly present this letter at the next court hearing regarding custody. I'm sick and tired of Laura turning the children against me." Concluding the conversation, Craig and Robin agreed to meet the next day for another discussion of this unfortunate situation. After that, the phone conversation ended. On the morning of July 17, Robin sent her brother an email, but no response came. The sister began dialing his new phone number, but Craig didn't pick up. A few hours later, the woman called the company where her brother was employed. The staff reported that the previous evening, they had received an email from Craig stating, "My daughter is sick. Tomorrow I have to take her for a medical examination. I probably won't be able to take phone calls." Robin became alarmed, deciding to personally visit her brother, and arrived at his residence at lunchtime. The front door turned out to be unlocked. Upon entering, she heard sounds from the kitchen. Robin assumed Craig was home, but upon going further, discovered Laura, who was cleaning the kitchen. It's worth noting that Laura was prohibited from visiting Craig's residence without approval from custody authorities. Robin inquired, "Where is Craig?" Laura gave this response, "I don't have that information." The daughters woke up in the morning and were frightened by their father's absence. "They called me, I came over and took them to school." Laura's behavior raised suspicions. She appeared anxious and hurried. Shortly after Robin's arrival, Laura left the house. Robin conducted a walkthrough of the residence, went outside. Neither Craig nor his car were anywhere to be found. Robin carefully inspected all the rooms. In the front room stood 3 pairs of Craig's shoes. The sister knew for certain that her brother had no other footwear. Robin realized something alarming had occurred. The woman contacted law enforcement, and soon Craig Rideout was officially declared a missing person. That same day, July 17, at a distance of 80 kilometers from Rochester, an event occurred that shed light on the case. A farmer was riding his bicycle to his workplace along a dirt road that ran near a forest area. His attention was drawn to 2 automobiles positioned on the roadside, as well as 2 individuals who were nearby. The farmer rode past without paying particular attention. The faces of these people didn't register in his memory. When 3 hours later the farmer was returning along the same route, neither the vehicles nor the people were observed, but he noticed a gardening tool in the grass, a shovel. Stopping, the man decided to follow tracks into the forest. In the forest thicket, he came upon brown tarpaulin material, from under which bare human legs were visible. The farmer urgently notified the police about the discovery. Simultaneously, law enforcement appeared at Craig Rideout's residence. Due to lack of access inside, they had to wait for the arrival of Laura and Paul, who were to open the door. Laura, together with Paul, stated that they were absolutely uninformed regarding Craig's whereabouts. Investigators conducted an inspection of the premises, the living area, bedrooms, kitchen space, where they found nothing that would raise suspicion. However, during the descent to the basement, officers immediately noticed traces of blood in the form of spatters on the wall and ceiling surfaces. In one of the bags, an object resembling a strangulation device was discovered. During that same period, police established the identity of the person whose body the farmer had found under the tarpaulin covering in the forest. It turned out to be 50-year-old Craig Rideout. Next to the body under the tarpaulin was the deceased's mobile phone. Only his sister Robin possessed information about his new phone number. The forensic medical examination data proved extremely distressing. Craig had first been subjected to beating, and subsequently was deprived of life through strangulation. To prevent identification, the victim's face and hands had been treated with a caustic chemical agent for cleaning pipes. Craig's identity was established using dental records. Video surveillance systems registered the movement of Craig's automobile on July 17 in the direction of the forest area, where the man's body was subsequently discovered. The same route was traveled by Paul Tucci's vehicle. The identity of the driver remained unestablished. Subsequently, a message was received at the police station from witnesses who observed two young men dumping voluminous black garbage bags into a body of water. This body of water was called Devil's Bathtub and was located in immediate proximity to the location where Craig's body was discovered. Later, witnesses identified these young men. They turned out to be Colin and Alex. Police officers conducted an interview with the young men. At that moment, they still didn't possess information about their father's tragic death. Colin, together with Alex, reported that they were simply taking a walk near the body of water and having a conversation. The detectives showed the garbage bags retrieved from the water and urged them to honestly describe their contents. Colin and Alex remained silent. Inside the bags were found empty containers from cleaning agents, protective gloves, clothing with blood traces. Law enforcement inquired as to why the young men had disposed of garbage in the body of water. In response, they reported that they were carrying out their mother's request. Regarding their father Craig's disappearance, Colin and Alex expressed the following assumption: most likely, he just left town. You know, he was tired of everything. He constantly talked about leaving everything and going away. Colin and Alex were detained. After this, police conducted a search at the residence of Paul and Laura, who were intensively engaged in preparation for relocation, had found residential premises in North Carolina, and had even executed a rental agreement. At Paul's dwelling, investigators discovered keys to Craig's vehicle. Paul and Laura were arrested and imprisoned in a detention facility. After several weeks, Paul, Laura, Colin, and Alex were released on monetary bail pending trial. The investigation continued. Police were making efforts to gather the maximum amount of evidentiary basis against this group of 4 individuals and to establish the actual circumstances of what happened to Craig. Investigators discovered video surveillance materials on which it was recorded how Laura, together with Colin and one of the daughters, made purchases at the local Walmart supermarket. They bought several packages of cleaning products. The next day, just hours before the murder was committed, Laura was again registered on video cameras at the local Walmart, but this time accompanied by Paul. They purchased tarpaulin material, rope products, and several containers of pipe cleaning agent. At approximately the same time period, Colin made a purchase of a shovel and 4 pairs of protective gloves at another retail establishment. According to the investigative version, Laura arrived at Craig's residence accompanied by Colin and the daughters under the pretext of discussing relocation to another state. With high probability, Laura lured Craig to the basement premises, where he was subjected to beating with a metal pipe and hammer, after which he was strangled using rope. In the basement premises, fingerprint traces were discovered, identified as prints of Laura and Colin. The woman hadn't anticipated the significant volume of blood, as a result of which she had to extend her stay in the house to eliminate all traces. Laura's presence in the house at the moment of Robin's arrival wasn't part of the plan. Colin, using Craig's automobile, transported the body to the forest area. In the forest, Alex was waiting for him, having arrived in Paul's vehicle. Colin, together with Alex, concealed their father's body, disposed of material evidence in the body of water, and returned to the city using Paul's automobile. Paul's whereabouts during this time period remained unestablished. The man claimed he was at his own residence. Investigators learned that Paul's wife had passed away in 2014, approximately during the same period when romantic relations of a confidential nature began between Paul and Laura. The police developed a suspicion about Paul's possible involvement in his wife's death. Jane Fertucci found her final resting place at St. Mary's Cemetery, located in Pittsford, New York State. Her modest grave is decorated with a small Christmas tree and festive Christmas decor in the form of a wreath. Jane Fertucci died as a result of complications provoked by excessive consumption of alcoholic beverages. After Paul Tucci's detention in 2016, forensic medical experts were assigned the task of re-examining biological tissues preserved after Jane Fertucci's autopsy. Investigators even considered the possibility of conducting an exhumation of the body, but forensic medical specialists came to the conclusion that Jane Fertucci had indeed died from severe liver pathology. The court hearing in the case of Laura, Paul, Colin, and Alex began during the summer period of 2017. All 4 defendants were considered within a single proceeding, none acknowledged their involvement in the crime. The defense argued that neither Paul, nor Laura, nor their sons had any motivating reason to murder Craig. All of them were engaged in preparation for relocation, made purchases of cleaning agents, protective gloves, and gardening tools for the purpose of conducting cleaning in the residential premises and on the adjacent territorial plot. Each defendant had an individual legal representative who attempted to transfer responsibility to another person. Colin incriminated his mother with guilt. Laura, on the other hand, accused Colin. After familiarizing himself with the case materials, the judge announced that Craig's murder belonged among the most brutal criminal acts during the entire course of his professional activity. On July 25, 2017, by judicial verdict, Laura and Colin were found guilty of committing second-degree murder. Each was assigned punishment in the form of life imprisonment with the possibility of consideration for parole upon completion of a 25-year term. By court decision, Alex was found guilty of falsifying material evidence. The young man was assigned punishment in the form of 8 years of imprisonment. Paul Tucci was completely cleared of charges and released directly from the courtroom. The prosecution representative was convinced of Paul Tucci's involvement in the criminal act. The man possessed a powerful physical constitution. Without his physical assistance, Laura together with Colin wouldn't have been able to accomplish the transportation of Craig's body beyond the house boundaries, but sufficient evidentiary basis was absent. Later, Paul, in conversation with press representatives, reported that he never once crossed the threshold of Craig's residence. When he, together with Laura, delivered the daughters, he always remained outside the house. The man actively defended Laura and Colin, insisting that they didn't possess the capability to commit such a brutal crime. In response to the question, "For what purpose did you make purchases of tarpaulin, rope, and household chemicals?" Paul promptly provided an explanation. "Everyone knows about our plans for relocation. Please listen, we had a comprehensive list of items that needed to be purchased before relocation. We were engaged in preparing the residence for sale. It was necessary to put all aspects in order. I performed repairs on furniture items, applied paint coatings to wall and ceiling surfaces, and to protect the floor covering from contamination, I used tarpaulin material. I intended to transport the tarpaulin remnants to North Carolina for use as covering for firewood. We purchased rope products for table soccer. These ropes were intended for recreational purposes. As for pipe cleaning agents, girls with long hair were living in my residence, and their hair systematically created blockages in the drainage system in the bathroom and sink. According to available information, in 2021 Alex received parole. His actual stay in places of imprisonment amounted to only 3.5 years. Laura, together with Colin, currently continue serving their assigned punishment in a correctional facility. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Until next time, friends.